In a small, unassuming shop nestled between two larger boutiques, a peculiar tailor plied his trade. His wares were unlike any others, garments made from fabrics imbued with the very essence of the wearer's deepest fears. The tailor, named Elijah, had an uncanny knack for sensing the darkest corners of one's psyche. It wasn't that he was particularly gifted or sought after. It was more as if fate had ordained him to fulfill this peculiar purpose. His customers often arrived at his doorstep with a mix of trepidation and morbid curiosity. One such customer was Sarah, a young professional struggling to come to terms with her crippling anxiety. She had heard whispers about Elijah's extraordinary abilities and hoped that by wearing one of his creations, she might gain insight into the root of her fears. As soon as Sarah entered the shop, she felt an unsettling sense of unease. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and dust, which seemed to cling to her skin like a damp shroud. Elijah greeted her warmly, his eyes gleaming behind wire-rimmed spectacles. "Welcome, my dear," he said, leading Sarah to a table littered with bolts of fabric, each one bearing an aura that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. "I sense you have certain fears that weigh upon your heart. Allow me to craft a garment tailored specifically for you." Sarah hesitated, unsure if she was ready to confront the demons that haunted her. However, Elijah's kind demeanor and unwavering confidence put her at ease. She agreed to let him work his magic. Days passed, and Sarah found herself returning to Elijah's shop repeatedly. Each visit revealed a new piece of fabric, woven from the threads of her deepest anxieties. There was the dress with the hood that seemed to grow longer and darker each time she looked into its depths. The scarf that whispered eerie melodies in her ear when no one else was around, and even the shoes that felt as if they were suffocating her, their laces weaving a prison of claustrophobic dread. As Sarah donned each garment, Elijah watched with an intensity that made her feel both observed and understood. He listened attentively to her innermost worries and fears, his eyes flashing with comprehension whenever she spoke of them aloud. One fateful evening, as the moon hung low in the sky like a cold, silver lantern, Sarah found herself standing before Elijah's latest creation. A flowing coat embroidered with patterns that seemed to shift and writhe like living things. The fabric felt alive under her fingertips, as if it pulsed with an energy that threatened to consume her whole. "What is this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "This, my dear," Elijah replied, his eyes glinting in the firelight, "is the manifestation of your deepest fear, the loss of yourself. You see, I have woven together threads from every aspect of your psyche, every anxious thought and doubt that plagues your heart." Sarah felt her breath catch in her throat as she gazed upon the coat. It seemed to embody all her darkest anxieties, a living embodiment of her fears. She trembled, unsure if she could bear to put it on. But Elijah's expression was calm, serene almost. "Trust me," he said, his voice low and soothing. "This garment will not consume you, rather, it will set you free." With trembling hands, Sarah slipped the coat over her shoulders. The moment the fabric touched her skin, she felt an electric jolt run through her body. It was as if the very essence of her fears had been transformed into something tangible. As she stood before Elijah's reflection in the mirror, Sarah beheld a stranger staring back at her. Her eyes were sunken, her cheeks hollowed out from years of fighting a battle she could no longer win on her own. Yet, despite this gauntness, there was an air of resolute acceptance about her, as if she had finally faced the fears that had haunted her for so long. In that moment, Sarah realized that Elijah's creations were more than just mere garments. They were doorways to the soul, gatekeepers to the hidden chambers of one's deepest fears. By confronting these anxieties head-on, she felt a weight lifting from her shoulders, a sense of release she had never known before. As the days passed, Sarah returned to Elijah's shop frequently, always eager to see what new creation he would bring forth. And with each garment, she discovered more about herself, more about the intricate tapestry of fears that wove together to form her very existence. Elijah's tailor shop became a sanctuary for those willing to confront their darkest demons, a place where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blurred like the threads of a richly woven fabric. And at its heart, Elijah stood watch, a guardian of sorts, guiding his clients through the labyrinthine paths of their own psyche, illuminating the shadows that had long shrouded their deepest fears. Years went by, and Sarah became one of Elijah's most devoted clients, always returning to him for guidance whenever her fears threatened to overwhelm her. And though she never lost sight of her anxieties, she found solace in Elijah's creations, a reminder that even the darkest corners of her psyche could be tamed by the light of self-discovery. The tailor's art had become an integral part of Sarah's life, a testament to the power of facing one's fears head-on. And as she looked back upon her journey with Elijah, she realized that his creations were not just garments, but gateways to a world where darkness and light existed in harmony. A world where the wearer was free to confront their deepest anxieties and emerge stronger on the other side.